Three sitting here, so a little bit different feeling up here, certainly. 10 weeks of, since our bye week, so we've been going at it for 10 straight weeks, so just sort of grinding and everything, but I think our football team is ready to play its final game, and we're looking forward to it. I think one of the main things we keep talking about is momentum. Continue to keep momentum as we go into the bowl game, and really relative to how the season's gone this year, to finish going like this rather than going like this is very, very important. Keep the shine on this football season, and we'll continue to try and do that. Rutgers, improved football team. I've got a lot of respect for Chris Ash and what he's accomplished as a coach, and he's in his second year, and while working the culture, everything that you have to do to change the program as he moves forward. But very competitive football team in every football game. Just got off. You watch film nonstop, but even watching the Ohio State film, early in the football game, they're hanging. And then as the game progresses, there's some mistakes and things like that with any young football team. But whether you're watching Michigan, whether you're watching Penn State, regardless, they come to play and they compete, both sides of the ball. Jerry Kill's their offensive coordinator. What he had done at Minnesota goes without saying. So, well-coached team, good concepts, play hard. We'll have to go and play very well over there to get win number 9, and that is the goal. So I'll take some questions. We'll go from there.
Mark, you have told me multiple times, privately and publicly, about you'll be dressed by wins, but it's about building young men to you. Mm-hmm. After the Ohio State game, one of your players privately told me last year, himself included, it was pointing the fingers at everyone else. He said, but this year it's us pointing them at ourselves. And Kenny Willekes, I asked him about that quote after the game, agreed. To see the change in record you already referenced, but just from an accountability and growing from kids to men, how proud are you for that with this team?
Well, I think anytime, like I said, I think last week or whenever throughout this season, anytime you can get up off the mat and succeed, I think that's a major point. Major point. That's a life moment. Those are things that you can draw on the rest of your life if you were part of this. So that's a big positive, and it's a positive for our entire program. And if you've always had success, then how do you handle difficulty comes into play. If you've always handled the difficult issues and never had success, then that's not good either. But I do think that you learn things from experiences, positive and negative, and we'll just keep working it. And I think that you always grow. I don't think that growth that never stops. We're going into finishing our 11th season, but there's still growth in this program, and that's the impressive thing, because especially in college, young players come and you see them as a freshman, and then they get ready to be sophomores or juniors or seniors, and seniors go on to their next thing in their lives. So, point of emphasis is what our seniors have been able to accomplish, and now, just using a rock, for example, pushing a rock and pushing up over a big mountain and letting that thing fall down the other side. Hopefully we've got momentum and it'll carry us forward.
Let's keep turning that clock back, Mark, to your feeling a year ago. You're standing 3-8, ended up being 3-9. The experts in here, all of us thought.
There's a lot of them.
Well, most of us thought, hey, 6 wins would be great. How much did you believe you could be standing in this spot going for a 9th win a year ago?
Well, to be honest with you, last year I felt like we could win every game. Even last year I went into every single football game. I'll just give you an example. Ohio State game last year, we had a chance to win that game at the end of the game. Even the Penn State game, even though it's separated, we were ahead at halftime, and we're playing right there. So I've never really taken the approach that, boy, we're out of this football game, count that one as an L, as a loss. Same thing can be held true this year. Never went into a game thinking we couldn't win. Never went into the game thinking that, oh, this is a wash and we're going to win. So it's just the way this game is built, sort of. I think maybe coaches are built, but certainly this particular coach is built like that. So, and that's what we'll do. It's rewarding to flip it. Right now we flipped 3-8 to 8-3, so it's rewarding to see that there's something that all your hard work comes to fruition, and all your things that you talk about and you go through as a group, you see that sort of move forward. I think that's exciting for any program at any point in time. So that's something that we can point to, like I said before, a little bit of a life moment and a challenge for all of us and as we move forward.
So you don't think this is surprising that you're at 83?
No, I don't. The expectations are there. You know, our players believe that they could flip this back.
Mark, could you talk a little bit about Felton Davis and the season he's had, and then also the last couple of weeks? Obviously, the passing game kind of hasn't been there. Do you worry about them getting out of sync a little bit, or not being in rhythm anymore now that they've had these last couple of weeks off in a way?
No, I think that again, the experts in the room probably thought we were going to be throwing 50 or so passes every game, but you can see that you need to be balanced, especially playing up here at times. Felton's had a great season. He's a big-time receiver. He's had some breakout games. This past game was difficult, because of all the weather conditions and everything the week before. I think pass rush got caught up in things and, whatever. But he's had a great season. He's a big play guy. We knew that when we recruited him. We felt that. That's why we took the red shirt off of him as a true freshman, because we felt like he was that good to be able to be playing in that championship season of 15. And he has just continued to grow. And I think he's very comfortable right now with himself. He's doing a nice job leading. He's got a great attitude. He comes to work every day, practices hard, and is always up. He's always up. And exciting and fun to be around. But he's got a unique skill set.
Was that a touchdown catch last week, you think?
I don't know. I'd say yeah.
Mark, having gone through
I don't want to go against efficiency, and I never want to do that.
having gone through the initial rise with this program, what's the benefit of that to you and your staff? And are there traits that you recognize as things are going well again that you're able to sort of grab hold of and say, this is something that's important here, this is what we need to do, just sort of recalling 2010, 2011, things like that?
The traits that
In terms of recognizing similarities to last time, the initial rise for your program.
yeah, I think it's tough when you lose games or when you're, and we had not lost like we had last year, we were more even. But anytime you go through something like that where there's a lot of frustration, I think you bounce back a little stronger. I think sometimes you have to go to those depths to find yourself a little bit and to reach down, and I think that's happened with our football team. That's happened with every team that we've had like that. The 2009 team went through some things and bounced back to 10. The 2012 team lost some close games, bounced back to 13. So, but I think that people sort of find themselves, they really look at themselves a lot harder sometimes when they're not successful. Once they have some quiet time and some time to sort of recollect themselves and maybe critique what they've done, and we've done that as an entire program, then you go about working towards it. And football's a grind because, you start working back in winter workouts and then summer, spring ball, and all these different phases you go through. And throughout every phase, there's days, and there's meetings, and there's weightlifting, and there's different people, getting to you as a person, our strength coach, the position coach, the different people in the program, the head coach, all these different people are touching our players, and they have some time to sort of reflect. And I think reflection probably is probably as much as anything in terms of what allows us to take that next step.
Mark, I was wondering if you could talk about Brian a little bit. Just, have you had a chance to watch game footage from last Saturday and how he's kind of been after that performance?
Oh yeah, I've watched all of it. Brian Works is an excellent quarterback. He was a great game manager, and probably what I should have said last Saturday night is we got great game management from our quarterback position. Big scramble on I think it was the third down play in the first drive. Another quarterback run for a 25-yard touchdown. No turnovers. Got out of trouble another time on a scramble. Just couldn't throw the ball very effectively because of the weather. And probably, we only attempted 4 passes in the second half, and that was by design. We had a 3-possession lead. It was bad out there. The footing was poor, so we just didn't go in that direction. But I have complete confidence in him. I think he can make plays. We've seen him make enough plays here in 11 games that would indicate to me that he's got a big future here, not just at this school, but in this conference. And so I'm excited about that, and I think he has guys that, you know, he can throw the football to. And then you compound that with the ability to run the football last week, which was needed. We needed to take a step in that direction, and we did. You know, I still think maybe we'll peak in our 12th game, maybe we'll peak in our 13th, but I still think we've not peaked yet as a complete football team. Maybe you never do, I don't know.
Mark, looking at Rutgers, they're going through a similar situation with their quarterback where you were about a year ago at this time. And you know Rashino pretty well from his time here. I guess, what have you seen from that quarterback spot? And for you guys on the defensive end, playing towards not really knowing who the guy is going to be there?
Yeah, you know, they've used 3, and they've got a transfer, you know, from Louisville, Bolin, I think. And then he used a younger player, and then Rashino, pronounce it right? Yeah, you tell me. Okay, but he's been good. I think he's been solid. You know, he gets out of trouble. He makes good decisions. He's thrown the ball effectively when they've asked him to. They've been more of a run-dominated football team until 3rd down. They've got good, strong tailbacks. Their offensive line is 3 starters return. It's been solid. So I think he's done a nice job, and I believe he's sort of solidified that he is the starting quarterback. He is the guy.
Mark, there's a chance that this conference will not have a team in the playoff for the first time, but 3 teams in the top 10, could have 4 in the top dozen or so. As you look back at this season, what does it say about this conference?
Tough conference, and I would bet you, I'm not a betting man, but I would bet you that there's a Big Ten team in that playoff. I just think it warrants it. I think when you look across the college football scope of things, you're always going to take, if you're somebody, you're always going to want somebody from the Midwest represented from this conference, because it's, you know, if you look at this conference, it had 3 teams in the top 10 for the majority of the year, on and off. And I think that's a power conference. So you want somebody represented from this conference. You want somebody represented from down south, or from the East Coast, or from the West, or from the far West. But and there's 5 different areas, but you want people representing every area, because it's new. You know, what's the point if you have 2 teams from the same conference in who've already played themselves in the playoff? What's the point? That would just be me. Of course, that'll raise a lot of speculation out there. That'll probably get that may be the biggest news coming out of here. But that's just me. That's just a guy sitting here. I think Big Ten Conference, though, you're going to play against great teams, great coaches, great environments, great fan support every single week. And there are teams in this conference that can play across the country with anybody. That's been proven.
Program question. Reconstruction this year after kind of an aberration last season. 11 seasons now, general consistency with sustained strength throughout, Mark. When you realize the competitive realities of college football, how everyone expects to win, when you realize the competitive realities of having 100 young men on campus under one tent, and that there are going to be occasionally incidents that you regret, how much pleasure, gratification do you take in the program strength? How much do you lament that there wasn't maybe even a smoother continuum throughout these 11 seasons?
I think you're always looking at your body of work and saying, hey, this is what we've done, and these are the things we're proud of. And you're also looking at other areas and you're saying, we could have done better. I think that's natural. So whether it's, you know, we could have done better, win-loss this season, yet still, we could have. So I think there's a combination of both, and I think that, you know, you look at things and say, hey, if we would have done this, maybe we could have, if we wouldn't have ran a zone pressure against Alabama, I know people out there will reflect and say, no way. We wouldn't have got caught with the double seam alert, and they, you know, they could pick up the first down on 3rd and 8. Maybe it's not 10-0 at half, and maybe we hang in there. So I think you always go back and you look at things. I'm talking about the playoff game against Alabama. So maybe you look at things and say, I wish I could have done these things, but then you can point to other things and say, man, look at the things we have done. And so there's a combination of both. I tend to look at this program right now as on the rise, and that's a positive. Got a young football team, got a team that believes in itself, that's confident, and a team that understands that they will get better. And that's probably the biggest thing that you can look at, whether it's a Brian Lewerke or our offensive line or defensive line or whatever position group we have. There's a group of people saying, we're going to get better because of experience and because we have another year to prepare. And that's exciting.
Mark, a couple for you. You called last week's game a program game, just kind of bouncing back from Ohio State. Does this kind of still fit the bill, just as, finishing off that? Or
Yeah, it's another program game, I think, and as I told our football team yesterday, I don't want, we've come so far, be ready to play. It doesn't guarantee winning, but be ready to play mentally and emotionally. Expect to play well and get yourself right, because this is a program game, and you don't want to take any shine, as I said earlier, off of this season. And we want to go into the bowl season like this going forward.
And then besides the obvious getting a win, is there any particular one aspect of the game you'd like to see you guys improve on heading into bowl practice and going from there?
In this particular
Yeah,
game?
this weekend.
I just want us to play a perfect game, that's all. If we can do that, that'll be great. All right, but obviously we need to throw the ball effectively and run it, not turn it over. Usually when those things happen, you can play pretty well there, and then on the defensive side of the ball, no big plays, and get some turnovers, stop the run. I think we got it going, and play well on special teams. If we can do that, we're all good.
You ever played a perfect game?
Not very often. There's been some.
A question on, because he's a local kid, I've watched him. Kari Willis seems to me like, he didn't get a lot of attention, but he's made a lot of plays, playing his best football. How good has he been this year, and what's his ceiling?
Yeah, Kari's solid. I think he does a great job just from a standpoint of leading. He's another one of those younger players. He's only a junior that he's played all 3 years. He's sort of been, he's been a staple in our secondary. I think he has toughness, understands what we do. He'll play anything, anywhere, anytime. You can put him back on kickoff returns probably, that type of guy. But tough-minded, tough on and off the field, and I think he stands for everything we believe in. And I think inevitably he'll probably be a captain here.
I know that we get to this time of the year, you guys are always either on the road a lot, but when it gets to Thanksgiving week with these guys and everything they give up throughout the course of an academic year, how do you try to approach a holiday time with not just this, but also with Christmas and everything else that you guys have during this period?
Well, first of all, very thankful for what we've been able to accomplish and for all the blessings that we've had. And I think that we reflect on that as a group, as a team. But we'll practice very early on. We'll get them in the morning. They'll be done by noon on Thanksgiving. The majority of our team will go home or to a home, to one of our players' home in the general, an hour from here. And I think we have almost every player taken care of in that respect. No player will sit at their home. Some will go to the coach's home. Some, we're just going to take care of them. And then guys who aren't traveling, they have an opportunity to go as well. And then we'll be back on Monday morning at 7 to make sure we're back for classes and have a meeting, and then sort of set the calendar for the next number of weeks until bowl practices. We've got exams coming up. When we go to Christmas, we've taken bowl practices and then given them off 4 or 5 days for Christmas, and then travel to the bowl game and then give them off time after. But pretty much the way our program is set up is that about every 2 months, with the exception of the season, you've got a week period of time where you can sort of get away. And then there's some off time as well, some downtime mandated by the NCAA.
What's your perfect Thanksgiving meal? You want a perfect game, what's your perfect?
Oh, yeah. I don't think about that stuff. You just have it ready when I get there. But no, the turkey, all the stuffing, all that stuff.
2 questions, I'll ask them separately. First of all, Dominique Long and Antoine Simmons are both guys really following an eerily similar to Greg Jones pattern. Big plays on special teams, Antoine even making big plays on the field. Would you talk about their development, please?
Yeah, we really have an outstanding freshman class. I mean, really, when you look at it, and we start 3 freshmen. You know, Kevin Jarvis has had a great year. You know, Josiah Scott has had a great year. Cody White has had a great year. And then you've got some other guys like Antoine Simmons, who's playing himself in there, playing more and more plays. I think he might have played 20-some plays last week. And he plays from a position of power all the time. He's a very good tackler. Saw his kickoff return. He's been very, very good on special teams. Don Long, number 9, same thing. I think Don will be an outstanding secondary player for us. And we played a little bit of corner here in the last couple of weeks. And, you know, safety and corner, but he shows up on special teams, and, you know, he's a very explosive guy. You know, a 10-8 long jumper and a 38-inch vertical jump guy. Great, very good tackler, one of the better tacklers on the team, good ball skills. So I think we have like I said earlier, you know, I think we have a very young football team that's got a lot of excitement, a lot of growth yet to go, and there's a lot of excitement with that. They both played very well, as you've talked, and those aren't the only guys, you know. There's some other ones as well.
Lastly, Thanksgiving's here, and last year when you talked about Thanksgiving, you referenced your faith in family. Even though there wasn't a lot on the field to be thankful for about your team, I'm curious this year, what are you thankful for?
You know, really, I guess you're thankful for the way our football team has handled themselves in a difficult situation, beginning with spring practice and coming. The way our seniors have represented, the things that we've done, how they've handled themselves off the field in terms of, you know, organizing themselves, coming into this season with a you know, understanding that they had a path to follow and they were going to be deliberate on that path. So, you know, I love our players. This has been a very fun team to coach, very fun team. Get a lot of smiles and laughs out of every day. They're energetic. They come to practice. They come to play. And when you're winning, you know, it helps. It's been a fast season. But I think, again, what am I thankful for? I've always been thankful just to be the head coach of Michigan State. I mean, I've been humbled by that, humbled by, you know, everything that comes along with that. And thankful for my family and my team. So.
As long as we're in outside the box questions, tomorrow is the 54th anniversary of President Kennedy's shot. I only count 5 of us in here, 6 with Neil walking in, that are old enough.
You count me, of course.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
But you must have been in grade school then.
Yeah,
what are your memories of that? I'm curious.
I remember walking across the street, and the patrol boy, they had patrol boys, you know, that say, walk across the street, and telling me that. And I think I was in the 3rd grade, I think.
Where?
In Zanesville, walking to Wilson Elementary School. So, yeah, I remember that.
Impact?
Big impact. You know, at that point in time, you don't really understand the gravity of everything. The older I got, and the more significant that date became, and all the different things that surround that. You know, all the different theories, conspiracy theories, and all that, those type of things. I think if you enjoy history and you look at that, you know, there's so many different directions that you can go with that. It's just, it's very interesting. Bringing out my social aspect. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Go great. Thanks for everything.